Hello, namaste friends. So today we are going to be going over the yoga basics. So it's a 101 course, so that way we can really get a deep understanding as to why we are doing certain poses and certain asanas. And then also it's just a fundamentals course. So if you have never taken a yoga class or you are looking to get into yoga and you just want to know more of the basics, that's what we're doing here. So in this series, we'll be talking about the different asanas, the basic poses, Surya Namaskar A, Surya Namaskar B, and all of that. But the first video that we are starting off with is going to be the yoga basics. So this is just going to be a short clip as to what yoga really is. So yoga is generally described as a philosophy and or a discipline of a practice or a technique. Now, the word yoga is coming from a Sanskrit word, yuj, which means to yoke or to bind. So when we combine both of those, what we get is a discipline that serves to connect or bind. So yoga is a discipline that serves to connect or bind. Now, what are we connecting and what are we binding together? We are connecting or binding the mind and the body. So the mind and the body are going to be one. Now, this is coming from Swami Satyananda Saraswati, and he says the mind and body are not separate entities, although there is a tendency to think and act as though they are. The gross form of the mind is the body, and the subtle form of the body is the mind. And now both the mind and the body can hold these knots, the mind and body harbor tensions or knots. Every mental knot has a corresponding physical or muscular knot and vice versa. The aim of the asana is to release these knots. Now, a lot of the times we'll think of asanas as these hard or difficult poses, when ancient yogis actually defined health and fitness not as being able to hold or master a posture, but rather as being structurally stable and having the ability to move with grace and ease, the elimination of suffering, and the ability to withstand changes that are coming our way. So it's not about how good you do the yoga poses, quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. It's important to know that the point of the yoga poses are really just to connect the mind and the body. And it doesn't matter how deep you are getting into those asana practices or anything like that, because really the only goal here that we are trying to have in yoga is to connect the mind and body. Now, there are ways to do that. The most common way is going to be the 8 limbs of yoga. So moving over here to the 8 limbs of yoga. Now, the 8 limbs of yoga, it's important to know that this is not yoga. This is just a path to yoga, a path to connecting the mind and the body. So the first way is yama. Yama is the social behaviors and ethics. So how we communicate with those around us, how we portray ourselves with those around us. Are we sharing light? Are we sharing love? Or are we sharing a lot of hate and anger? So the first step is yama. We want to make sure that we are spreading light and love through those around us. Now, niyama is the observances and personal behavior. So how are we observing the self? What are we doing to love ourselves as well? Now, pranayama is going to be conscious breathing technique. So the mastering of the life force that's inside of all of us. So that's when you'll start to see breathing techniques such as, breathing in for 4 seconds, holding for 4 seconds, breathing out for 8 seconds. And we'll get into some of the basic pranayamas as well. Now, pratyahara, that is sensory withdrawal. So turning the senses inwards. So not really turning the senses outwards, but figuring out, okay, what's going on internally in us. Now, these first 5 are going to be the external aspects of yoga, or of the path to yoga. And now the dharana, which is going to be concentration, attention, so beginning of meditation. The dhyana, which is meditation, witnessing, awareness, and then uninterrupted concentration. And then samadhi, which is the absorption, union, or pure unbound awareness. So this is going to be really what yoga is samadhi. And then it's no self, no ego, no self-consciousness. Now, these are all internal aspects of yoga, internal aspects to the path of yoga. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. We have the yoga basics. Yoga is connecting the mind and the body. And then we also have the 8 limbs of yoga, the traditional path to yoga. And then we'll dive into these different aspects throughout our Yoga Basics 101 course. I look forward to seeing you.